Hello students, welcome to this session. So today we are going to study male reproductive system. So in this diagram you can see male reproductive system.
So learning objectives of reproductive system 5.1 male reproductive system, 5.2 female reproductive system, and 5.3 physiology of reproduction, menstruation, pregnancy and lactation.
Testes, epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, Copper's gland and penis. So let's study each in detail. So first is the most main important organ of the male reproductive system is the testes. So they are paired oval testes lie outside the abdominal cavity in man in a skin covered special sac called scrotum. In transverse section they contain many seminiferous tubules, and these cells undergo process of spermatogenesis to produce spermatozoa. Between seminiferous tubules are numerous microscopic interstitial cells are there. They are also called as Leydig cells, which produce a male hormone, that is testosterone. And this testosterone is responsible for the all male characteristics. So let's see functions of the testes. So function of testes main is the production of sperms, which is required for the fertilization with ova to produce a fetus, that is zygote and then fetus. Then second function is synthesis of male sex hormone testosterone by Leydig cells, that is interstitial cells, and this hormone is responsible for male secondary sexual characteristics such as deep voice, male hair distribution, that is beard and axillary or the hair on chest, then typical distribution, fat, build. All these male characteristics are responsible because of the hormone testosterone. Second is epididymis. So it is located on the surface of the testes. The function of this epididymis is storage of sperms before ejaculation and increase fertilizing power of the sperms. Third is a vas deferens. So it is the duct which arises from the epididymis. It is also called as ductus deferens or vas deferens, and it enters the abdominal cavity, then arches over the bladder and opens into the back of the urethra. Next is the seminal vesicle. So they are sacculated pouches on each side of the testes situated between base of the urinary bladder in front and the rectum behind. The glands secrete alkaline secretion and fructose of the semen, that is composition of the semen. Next is the prostate gland. So it is donut shaped structure formed only in males and surround the first portion of the urethra. Its alkaline secretion protects the sperms from acidic environment in the male urethra and female vagina, and thereby increases sperm motility so that fertilization can occur more easily. It secretes acid phosphatase, hyaluronidase and fibrogenase. Hello students, welcome to this session. So today we are going to study female reproductive system. The parts of female reproductive system are ovaries, they are 2 in number, uterus 1 in number, uterine tubes 2, then vagina, Bartholin's and vestibular glands and mammary glands. So first we will see in detail ovaries. So they are 2 oval bodies located below and behind the uterine tubes, and the function is to produce eggs or ova that is required for the fertilization with sperms to form zygote and then fetus, and secretion of female sex hormone, that is estrogen and progesterone. So these estrogen and progesterone are mainly required for the female sexual characteristics like voice or short in height or hair pattern, and all characteristics of female, then pregnancy, menstruation, all because of the estrogen and progesterone hormone. The first part of the female reproductive system is ovaries. So they are 2 oval bodies located in lower abdomen just below and behind the uterine tubes. The functions of the ovary, one is to produce eggs and second to produce female sex hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone, which are required for the female sexual characteristics. The transverse section of ovary, the capsule is the covering epithelium called as tunica albuginea, and the inner part is called stroma, which contains the outer part cortex, which contains ovarian follicles, and the inner part of stroma is called medulla. The ovarian follicles are the basic units of the female reproductive biology. Each of them contains a single oocyte, that is immature ovum, granulosa cells and theca. Then second is the uterus. So both oviducts open into wider tube. The uterus measures 3 by 2 by 1 in inches in size, and the parts of uterus are fundus, body and cervix. So upper part is fundus, then central part is body, and cervix is a narrow portion opening into vagina. The cervix secretes protective antibodies, and natural acidity of vagina prevents the growth of harmful bacteria during and after menstruation. The uterus undergoes cyclic changes from puberty to menopause, and this is called as menstrual cycle. And then endometrium develops each month to provide nutrition to fertilize egg. The next part is uterine tubes. The uterine tubes consist of proximal part called oviducts and the distal part called fallopian tubes. At the distal end, each fallopian tube expands into funnel-like infundibulum, having fringe-like projections called fimbria to catch the ova that is released in ovulation.
Now let's study menstrual cycle, the characteristic feature of the females. The menarche is the onset of menses at puberty until menopause. A woman's reproductive system undergoes cyclical changes, and each cycle is around 28 to 29 days. There are 4 phases: menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase and luteal phase. So in menstrual phase, it is destructive phase, that is bleeding takes place. So it is about 3 to 5 days, and it is because of the breakdown of the endometrial lining and blood vessels. And lack of menstruation, the reasons are pregnancy, stress, poor health. Then follicular phase, so in that estrogen is increased. It is proliferative phase. The follicles, primary follicles converted into a Graafian follicle, and endometrium undergoes proliferation. Ovulatory phase, it is because of the LH and FSH, it is present in the middle of the cycle, that is 14th day, and LH surge causes ovulation. The luteal phase, it is secretory phase. So in that Graafian follicle forms corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone, which is required for the maintenance of endometrium, implantation of fertilized ovum for the pregnancy. Then absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerate, disintegration of endometrium, and then bleeding phase. The menstrual hygiene and sanitation should be properly maintained by use of sanitary napkins and proper disposal of the sanitary napkins. The menopause is a stoppage of the menstrual cycle, and it is at the age of around 50 years. Now let's study gametogenesis in female, is called as oogenesis. So oogenesis is the mature female gamete formation. So is initiated during the embryonic development stage, when couple of million gamete mother cells, that is oogonia, are formed within each fetal ovary. No more oogonia are formed and added after birth. These cells start division and enter into prophase 1 of the meiotic division and get temporarily arrested at that stage, called primary oocytes. Each primary oocyte then surrounded by layer of granulosa cells and is called primary follicle. A large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty, and therefore at puberty only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in the each ovary. The development oogonia, that is gamete mother cells in the fetal ovary. So in meiosis prophase 1, they are converted into primary oocytes surrounded by granulosa cells, are called as primary follicle. The primary follicle then surrounded by granulosa cells and theca cells is called secondary follicle. Then is converted into the tertiary follicle, which contains cavity which filled with the fluid called antrum. The theca is divided into 2 parts, inner theca interna and outer theca externa. And inside that primary oocyte undergoes meiosis 1, and then it is developed into secondary oocyte, which is haploid and first polar body. Then mature follicle is formed, called as Graafian follicle, and secondary oocyte, the new membrane is formed, that is called zona pellucida. So this zona pellucida is required for the binding of the spermatozoa and is then required to initiate the acrosome reaction. The Graafian follicle then rupture, secondary oocyte, that is ovum, released and is called as ovulation. Now let's study fertilization process. So sperms enter into the vagina, that is called insemination. So then they travel to cervix, then to uterus, and then the ampullary part of the fallopian tube. Then from the ovary, ovum is released. In the ampullary part of the fallopian tube, the fertilization takes place. So for the fertilization, the ovum is released in the ovulation time, that is around 14th day of the mid cycle, and that time sperms are there. They should be there available for the 72 hours, and then the fertilization process takes place. So the sperms, they enter the zona pellucida of the ovum by secretion of acrosome, that is digestive enzymes. Then they enter into the enter into the ovum. So they secondary oocyte meiosis 2 takes place, and then haploid ovum plus second polar body is formed, and then sperm plus ovum unite, and then it forms zygote, that is diploid. After fertilization, the next process is implantation. So zygote formed is traveling to the isthmus of the uterus. Then mitosis takes place. Then 2, 4, 6, 16 cells are formed. They are called as blastomers. Then 8 to 16 blastomer stage is formed, that is called as morula. Then it is converted into the blastocyst into the uterus. The blastocyst converts into the outer part tropoblast attached to the endometrium, and the inner part, inner cell mass, forms the embryo. The uterine cells divide and covers blastocysts, and it is embedded in the uterus. That is called implantation, and then pregnancy continues. Now let's see pregnancy and embryonic development. So outer portion is called as trophoblast. So it converted into the chorionic villi. They are finger-like projections in the uterine tissue, and then they attach to the uterine tissue. So they convert into the placenta, which supply oxygen, nutrients to the fetus, developing fetus, and remove carbon dioxide and waste. The hormone HCG, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, HPL, that is human prolactin, estrogen and progesterone are responsible. Then relaxin is formed in the later phase of the pregnancy by ovary, and then umbilical cord is formed, which is attached to the embryo. The inner cell mass, they form the stem cells. So outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner endoderm, they form organs. So first month heart is formed. So first heart sound is heard in first month. Second month limbs and digits are formed. Third month first trimester systems, then limbs, external genitals formed. Fifth month first movement of the baby is felt by mother. A hair on the head is there. Then 6 months second trimester, body, hair, eyelids, eyelashes formed. And then 9 months the complete fetus is formed, and then it is delivered. So parturition is the fetal ejection reflex from fully formed fetus and placenta. So in that, anterior pituitary glands increases the level of oxytocin, which causes excess contraction of the uterine smooth muscle, that is called labor, and then it helps for the expulsion of the fetus, that is called parturition, and then expulsion of the placenta. Then in lactation, the mammary glands differentiate, and the glands produce milk, that is called lactation, and the first milk is called as colostrum, which contains antibodies which gives immunity to the baby. So first part of milk is very essential for the developing baby. Hope you find this session useful for your understanding and for your exams. Thank you.